In this video you will learn about lookup plugins. So lookup plugins are created to use data from external sources like files and environment variables. It's pretty cool. It allows you to fetch data from outside Ansible no matter where. And there's quite a few of them. Use Ansible doc -t lookup -l for a complete list. And once you found a plugin that looks interesting, you can use Ansible doc -t lookup followed by the plugin name for its documentation. I am going to pick out some of the most interesting lookup plugins and talk about them. Just be aware that there is more where this is coming from. Right, so lookup plugins can be called in two different ways. You can call them using lookup or query, where lookup is used to read file contents into a variable, and query is used to read the file content into a variable, where the content is stored as a list. Now here we have an overview of some of the useful lookup plugins. File, which reads content of files from the control node. There is template, which processes the contents of a template. You would use it as lookup template mytemplate .j2. There is env, which allows you to use an environment variable that is used on the control node. So here we see lookup env db password. So that is going to the control node, and on the control node it will check in the current shell environment for the value of the variable db password. There is URL, which allows you to get contents from a URL. So lookup URL on http://example.com, for instance. This is not something that you would use a lot to discover what is offered by a website, but the URL lookup plugin is very useful to work with API endpoints. There is pipe, which returns the output of a command that is executed on the control host, like query pipe ls files, where ls files is the actual command. There is K8s, which is for Kubernetes. It allows you to fetch a Kubernetes object. As in lookup Kubernetes kindness deployment namespace is default. That will produce a list of all the deployments in the default Kubernetes namespace. Now let's have a closer look at the file lookup plugin. So in the example line that you can see right here, the file lookup plugin is used to read the contents of the file etc passwd into the variable myUsers. So vars is setting a variable, and this variable is dynamically created based on the result of lookup file etc passwd. Also convenient, the file plugin can take multiple file names as its argument, where each file contents will be separated by a comma. And you can use query if you want to store the file contents in a list. So vars myfiles query file etc host etc motd is producing a list with the file contents. Let's have a look at an example. So the example file is read keys. And what are we doing? We are working, and let's just do this on host Ansible 2. We are working on Ansible 2 on the variables users, student, and Ansible. So the task is create users, name item, loop users, and then it's adding authorized keys. Now, how is that working? Well, it is working on user item, and the key is using lookup. File lookup plugin. Then we can see item plus. Item plus is the username, and this username is id_rsa.pub. So it's looking up id_rsa.pub in the username. Is that going to work as such? Probably not, because this item needs to be there, but it might be helpful to understand why it is not working. So Ansible playbook on readkeys.yaml is doing what? So what is happening? Well, add authorized key. You can see it's complaining, unable to find student id rsa.pub. I think this is telling all about what's going wrong. It's using this item in the file lookup plugin. The item is student, and this expects a local directory with the name student to exist with the id rsa.pub. So I can really easily fix that. if you use mkdir Ansible student and I'm using copy, it's not elegant, but this time I just want to show you a quick solution of how we can get there. So I'm manually going to create these pub files. So let's copy it to Ansible as well as to student, and then we can try to do it again. Obviously, if you want to go for the nice solution, then you are going to use Ansible to create that local user directory in the current project directory or somewhere else, and you are going to generate an SSH public-private key pair as well. That would be an interesting challenge, but honestly, we shouldn't care about that because this is really about how we can use the file lookup plugin. This is just one example of using a lookup plugin. There are so many more examples that can be imagined, but I hope this is giving you inspiration to start using lookup plugins.